It was passed in the Lok Sabha after 12 hours of heated debate. Taking you through updates on that. And then, of course, in our deep dive segment, Karnataka banning bike taxis altogether. Rapido requests for exemption. Doesn't seem like the request has been entertained. News on the larger impact of banning bike taxis. And finally, we're looking at our Viral Watch segment where a story quite endearing, a moment when a couple goes right into the middle of the waters to end their fight. Visuals are entertaining. Headlines as always. Trump slaps 26% tariff on Indian imports, praises Modi as a great friend but hits India with 26% tariff rate. In fact, also criticizes India at the same time, saying despite being a good friend, India still taxes us by 52% on US goods. Lok Sabha clears the Waqf amendment bill with 288 votes. Stalin slams it, calling it draconian. DMK to move the Supreme Court. TVK announces statewide protests on April 4th. Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah meets with Rahul Gandhi in Delhi. This comes amid protests that are currently happening in Bengaluru. BJP slamming price rise. But here you have the Karnataka Chief Minister meeting Rahul Gandhi, discussing the Ranya Rao gold smuggling case and also the Muslim quota in civil contracts, along with 4 MLC seats that are currently vacant. A lot on the table. Massive setback for Mamata Banerjee. The Supreme Court backs the Kolkata High Court's verdict, cancels 25,000 school teachers' recruitments. Setback for Mamata. Prime Minister Modi holds talks with his Thai counterpart, Shinawatra, ahead of the BIMSTEC summit and says that India and Thailand are eager to enter economic trade and ties. And Prime Minister Modi, in fact, had a brief encounter with his Bangladesh, not exactly counterpart, the interim government of Bangladesh, Mohammed Yunus there, meeting with the Prime Minister for a brief moment on the sidelines. Both we hear exchanged pleasantries at the dinner table. Kerala Chief Minister's daughter, Veena Vijayan, has named She's been, in fact, named as an accused in the SFIO Chargesheet. Ministry of Corporate Affairs grants permission for prosecution against Veena Vijayan in a corruption case. Bengaluru reels under pre-summer rains, traffic mayhem as key roads go underwater. Virgin Atlantic flight from London to Mumbai makes an emergency landing in Turkey. We hear nearly 200 Indian passengers on board, currently stranded for 16 hours. I'm going to start the day tonight here with a very interesting story on how the judiciary, after a recent setback and controversy around corruption against a judge, has now decided to restore faith within the judiciary among the people of this country in the best way possible. After taking a severe credibility hit over the recent cash haul controversy, judiciary is now moving to restore public faith, with questions swirling over judges allegedly amassing wealth beyond their means. The Supreme Court has now taken a significant step towards transparency. In a full court meeting, judges have unanimously decided to declare their assets and to make it public. The Chief Justice of India, Sanjeev Khanna, along with 29 other judges, have already submitted their asset declarations, which will be uploaded on the Supreme Court's website. The Apex Court has clarified that placing these details on the website is voluntary, but they have to declare assets. This is now a decision taken in a meeting with all the judges present. Judges will continue to update their assets as well, and the details of their assets, not only on assuming office, but also whenever there is substantial activity acquisition that they make over time. This move comes in the backdrop of a damaging controversy where huge cash or pile of cash was allegedly found at the residence of Justice Yashwant Verma, the then Delhi High Court judge, who has now been shifted. He's been transferred to Allahabad High Court. He faces in-house inquiry, where that video very clearly showing cash was found, but investigation currently on to see if that cash was indeed found in his house, how much of that cash was found, and was this cash that he procured through corrupt means. This internal inquiry continues, while in the meanwhile, he's been stripped off of all judicial work. We hear in the latest decision, 30 out of 33 sitting judges have already declared their assets. The judiciary now hopes to turn the page on the controversy and reinforce values of integrity and accountability. The decision was formally adopted at a full courtroom meeting on April 1st, and we see it's now being put into effect. Certainly a big move there by the judiciary to try and restore faith. Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan's daughter has been now named in a corruption case. Big blow to the CPIM regime there. We're looking at an election here in what could deliver a significant blow to the image of Kerala's ruling Communist Party. Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan's daughter, Veena Vijayan, is now at the centre of a major corruption scandal. The timing couldn't be worse here. With Kerala heading into politically charged election year, Chief Minister's family finds itself under scanner. The Ministry of Corporate Affairs has granted sanction to prosecute Veena Vijayan after a detailed investigation by the Serious Fraud Investigation Office, which is the SFIO, has uncovered alleged financial irregularities in transactions between the CMRL, which is Kochi Minerals and Rutile Limited, and Veena's IT firm, Exalogic Solutions. At the heart of the case here is the accusation that Veena and her company illegally received 2.7 crores from CMRL and its subsidiary Empower India. The SFIO charge sheet paints a grave picture here. Investigators claim that they have uncovered a much larger fraud within CMRL itself, running up to 182 crores. The alleged embezzlement, investigators say, was carried out by inflating expenses and generating fake bills. Veena Vijayan and Sasidharan Kartha, who's the managing director of CMRL, and both the companies, Exalogic and CMRL, now face charges under Section 447 of the Companies Act, a provision that deals with financial fraud and carries a maximum punishment of 10 years in prison. Now, with the prosecution formally sanctioned here, trial proceedings will begin at the Economic Offences Court in Kochi. Got to see how the CPIM will navigate here, the storm that's brewing right in an election year. And the Waqf bill that's had a huge debate in the last 20 years still continues, and this time in the Rajya Sabha. The Waqf Amendment Bill 2024 has reached Rajya Sabha. It was cleared by the Lok Sabha, and the 12 hours of debate that went on with nearly 44 speakers who spoke extensively about the bill, the pros and cons of it on either side. Now introducing the bill in the upper house, you have Union Minister Kiran Rijiju, who said the amendments aim boards with protecting the rights of women, children, marginalized. So the centre constantly committing to the fact that this is only for the betterment of the Muslim community. Do not fall prey to all those false allegations made by the opposition. More or less what the centre says while backing this bill.
2014 में कमेटी 13 में गठन हुआ और पारित हुआ दोनों सदनों में। फिर 2014 5 मार्च को, यानी कि 25 दिन पहले इलेक्शन एकदम नोटिफाई होकर के कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट लगने ही वाला है, तब हनन फनन में उस समय की यूपीए सरकार ने देश का राजधानी दिल्ली के अंदर में सबसे प्राइम प्रॉपर्टी 123 प्राइम प्रॉपर्टी को डी नोटिफाई करके दिल्ली वक्फ बोर्ड को सौंप दिया है। तो आप सोच के देखिए, 1970 से केस चल रहा था और पेंडिंग है, कोर्ट को निर्णय करने दीजिए, वो पेंडिंग है। और ये सीजीओ कॉम्प्लेक्स वगैरह आप नाम सुनेंगे, लिस्ट बाद में मैं दे दूंगा। ऐसा प्राइम प्रॉपर्टी 123 प्रॉपर्टी को सीधा सीधा एक झटके में आपने हैंडओवर कर दिया.
All right, that's Kiran Rijiju, who points fingers at the UPA, saying how the UPA carried out pushing Waqf land because of their vote bank politics, and how large amounts of land was given away to Waqf for their own compulsions, reasons that they know best for. Defending the bill, JP Nadda emphasized that women cannot be deprived. So this bill also extensively pushes for women's rights within the Muslim community.
वक्फ बोर्ड का सेक्शन 40, द बोर्ड may itself collect information regarding any property which it has a reason to believe that it is a वक्फ property. यानी अपने से ही तय करती है कि ये वक्फ प्रॉपर्टी है और अपने से ही रियलाइज कर लेती है. और इसलिए मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा कि ये जो वायलेशन ऑफ द राइट ऑफ फेयर ट्रायल आर्टिकल 21, सिटीजंस कैनॉट चैलेंज वक्फ डिसीजन इन रेगुलर कोर्ट्स. हम 21वीं शताब्दी में जी रहे हैं क्या कि सिटीजंस कैनॉट चैलेंज द डिसीजन ऑफ द वक्फ इन द सिविल कोर्ट? क्या ये आर्टिकल 21 का वायलेशन नहीं है?
Now, the bill has also faced strong pushback. RJD MP Manoj Kumar Jha raised concerns over its content and intent, linking it to debates on mosques and the Places of Worship Act. In a passionate speech, Jha urged lawmakers not to disturb the long-standing harmony between Hindus and Muslims.
देश का माहौल कैसा है, इस पे एक नजर डाला जाए. गाहे बगाहे इकोनॉमिक बाइकॉट की बात होती है. गाहे बगाहे किसी पुरानी मस्जिद के नीचे कुछ चीजें ढूंढी जाती हैं. गाहे बगाहे प्लेसेस ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट पे सवाल उठता है. सर, इस तरह के माहौल में आपके बिल का कंटेंट और आपके बिल का इंटेंट दोनों सवालिया निशान खड़े करता है. एक चीज हम सबको याद रखना चाहिए, हम किसी भी धर्म के मानने वाले हों, राष्ट्र की अवधारणा से पूर्व नदियां नहीं बटी थी, संस्थाएं ऐसे नहीं बटे थे, बनते गए, उसमें सुधार भी हुआ. आप पहली बार सुधार नहीं कर रहे हैं, इसमें सुधार आगे भी होगा. मैंने कहा ना कि दिक्कत होती है कि जब आपका इंटेंट और आपका कंटेंट दोनों मैच करता है तो डर लगता है.
समझ लीजिए कि मेरे पास कुछ संपत्ति है, मेरी प्रॉपर्टी है. मैं हिंदू हूं या मुसलमान हूं या ईसाई हूं या सिख हूं, मैं उसको चैरिटी में देना चाहता हूं, तो कौन उसको रोक सकता है? और हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी, जिनकी मैं बड़ी इज्जत करता हूं, हमेशा कहते हैं वन नेशन वन लॉ. तो अगर वन नेशन वन लॉ होना है तो बताइए भाई साहब कि ये केवल कहना कि मुसलमान ही वक्फ दे सकते हैं, ये किस किस्म का लॉ है? ये किस किस्म का लॉ है? और ये भी कहना कि मुसलमान को पहले 5 साल मुसलमान बने फिर तय करना होगा कि तुम वक्फ दे सकते हो कि नहीं. अरे भाई, प्रॉपर्टी मेरी, मालकियत मेरी, चैरिटी में मैं देना चाहता हूं, आप कौन होते हो कहने को नहीं दे सकते? ये कौन सा कानून है?
All right, let me now cut across to Manipur. Union Home Minister Amit Shah has told the Lok Sabha that everyone knows it was the High Court's decision that triggered riots in Manipur, appearing to hold responsible for the ethnic violence. This remark comes as Amit Shah moved a statutory resolution to impose precedence rule in the strife-hit state at 2 a.m. this morning. Let's have a listen.
मान्यवर, हम सब जानते हैं कि हाईकोर्ट के एक फैसले के कारण समुदायों के बीच में आरक्षण संबंधी विवाद के कारण एक जातीय हिंसा का उद्भव हुआ. मान्यवर, ये राइट्स नहीं है ना टेररिज्म है. ये हाईकोर्ट के एक फैसले के इंटरप्रिटेशन के कारण दो समुदायों के बीच में जातीय हिंसा हुई.
Now, after a brief 40-minute debate where 8 opposition MPs participated, the resolution was passed by a voice note. Amit Shah, in his 10-minute reply, claimed that no incidents of violence have been reported in Manipur since December last year, assuring that the government would soon convene a meeting between the Meitei and Kuki communities. Congress leader, meanwhile, Shashi Tharoor, while supporting the president's rule, stressed that it must be used to restore peace and normalcy. He blamed the prolonged deterioration of the situation on failure of those responsible in maintaining law and order, basically pointing fingers at the BJP government, saying that decisive action was missing for almost 2 years.
We've all witnessed the horrors of Manipur, a slow-burning horror once the unrest began in May of 2023, which is continuing now 21 months before the president's rule was actually declared, when clearly those responsible for maintaining law and order have not done their job. The issue of national security has been before this House, sir, and the fact that when we found all these tragedies happening, no decisive action was taken for almost 2 years. And I'm very sorry to see that it was only when the Chief Minister resigned on the 9th of February, the State Assembly had to reconvene by the 12th, only then, with the Assembly unable to meet because you could not survive such a motion, that President's rule was declared.
Shifting my focus to Karnataka, price rise has led to the opposition BJP launching an overnight protests. Protests by the Karnataka BJP leaders who staged a night-long dharna against the state government over price hike has culminated, and that too with high drama. Several prominent state BJP leaders, including former Chief Minister B.S. Yadurappa, State President Vijayendra, attempted to lay siege to Chief Minister Siddaramaiah's residence, condemning the Congress regime on price rise. The police acted swiftly to thwart their attempts. Several senior BJP leaders in the state were taken into preventive custody. The drama followed after BJP leaders staged a night-long dharna at Freedom Park in Bengaluru as part of their 24-hour protest. BJP now plans to take the agitation a step forward and hold the Janakroksha Yatra, or Public Outrage March as it's called, on April 7th, starting in Mysuru, which will be flagged off by Union Minister Prahlad Joshi. With this movement, the BJP expects to cover every district in the state. Each district will have a 2 to 3 kilometer long Padayatra. Listen in.
See, we are trying to create awareness among the people how it is affecting. Now almost all the industries, if you look at this inflation, the power bill, the electricity bill has increased so much, more than 100%. How are the manufacturing industries are going to sustain? Or the entire all other industries, particularly with regard to the manufacturing, their main dependency is on the power. If the power cost has increased so much, how are we going to sustain? The inflation has increased by more than, if you compare with the national average, in the state of Karnataka, it is increasing by 2%. If this is a situation, we can't expect the economy to sustain. We are seeing a grave future, and it is totally against the interest of the state of Karnataka.
Meanwhile, there seems to be a lot of talk around the BJP and JDS ties. In fact, the NDA alliance partners at this point aren't really seeing themselves communicating with one another, and this is exactly the JDS's problem. In fact, this appears to have, there seems to be some cracks within the two. JDS leaders upset that BJP isn't involving them in any form of protests against price hike by the BJP. Regional party JDS was not part of the BJP's plan at all, was entirely kept out of the dharna. So on what the fate of the two is. JDS Legislative Party leader Suresh Babu said BJP leaders take decisions in a hurry and appealed to B.Y. Vijayan, who's the chief of the BJP in Karnataka, to bring together leaders of both parties within the house and communicate.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಇವರು ಹಾವನ್ನ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಒಂದು NDA ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಎರಡೂ ಕೂಡ ಒಟ್ಟಾಗಿ ಸಮನ್ವಯತೆಯಿಂದ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಮ್ಮ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಮುಂದೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಭವಿಷ್ಯವನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ NDA ಕೂಟದಲ್ಲಿ BJP ಮತ್ತು JDS ಎರಡೂ ಒಟ್ಟಾಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಹೋರಾಟಗಳನ್ನ ಮತ್ತು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳನ್ನ ರೂಪಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಸೂಕ್ತ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಇವ್ರಿಗೇನಾಗ್ತದೆ BJPಯವರು ನಾವು ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಪಕ್ಷ, ನಾವು ಇವ್ರನ್ನ ಕೇಳಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಮನೋಭಾವ ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ಬಂದಿದೆಯೇನೋ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಆಲೋಚನೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಖಂಡಿತ ಆ ಥರ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಇವರು ಮನಸ್ಸಿದ್ರೆ ಖಂಡಿತ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಖಂಡಿತ ಇದ್ರ ನೋವನ್ನು ಪೆಟ್ಟನ್ನು ತಿನ್ನಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಎಚ್ಚರಿಕೆ ಇರಲಿ. ಹಿಂದೆನೂ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಿದರು. ಯಾವುದು ಪಾದಯಾತ್ರೆ ಮಾಡೋ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಈ ಥರ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮಾಡೋವಂಥ ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೆ ಹೊರಟಿದ್ರು.
So the son of Union Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy, the chief of the JDS, Nikhil Kumaraswamy, had expressed similar concerns and said he had stressed, in fact, on the need to constitute a coordination committee. Meanwhile, Vijayendra has cast aside the issue as minor misunderstanding, saying all is well between the JDS and the BJP. And while that happens in Karnataka, here in Delhi, you have the Chief Minister Siddaramaiah meeting with Congress's Rahul Gandhi. A huge discussion we hear happened. He met Rahul Gandhi for about 45 minutes to an hour, where we hear Siddaramaiah spoke extensively about the issues that prevail in Karnataka right now. Key issues that include the MLCs, 4 seats of the MLC seats that are currently vacant. They want to fill in those positions, and Siddaramaiah said that there are multiple contenders. We've got to look into it. And the most important part that may have been discussed as per sources is the growing demand for a change in the Karnataka Pradesh Congress chief leadership. KPCC chief, who is currently DK Shivkumar. There seems to be a lot of internal voices within the Congress party saying that DK Shivkumar should move out. There should be another face who should take over as the Karnataka Congress president in the state. So that too was discussed, we hear. This meeting is crucial, comes right at a time when Karnataka Congress is facing a lot of internal rebellion and a lot of discussions on leadership change. In fact, one knows DK Shivkumar himself is looking to take over as the chief minister after 2.5 years. That was the buzz when Congress came to power in 2023, that half term will be Siddaramaiah, half term will be DK Shivkumar. Though there was no official word from the Congress High Command, it seems like DK Shivkumar has kept his hopes alive, while Siddaramaiah and his camp say that Siddaramaiah will continue. Not Siddaramaiah himself, but at least his camp members say that Siddaramaiah will complete 5 years. So it's now left to the High Command to decide what next. And then you have the legal battle for Siddaramaiah that is far from ending. The Muda case has reopened, and this time the Enforcement Directorate to probe it. Now, today the Special Court for Public Representatives has put the brakes on this entire drama here. So, Lokayukta police had given a clean chit earlier to Siddaramaiah, but the Enforcement Directorate are now pursuing this case. They've challenged this, challenged the Lokayukta report itself, saying when there's such crucial evidence, how can you give a clean chit to Siddaramaiah? The ED has fired, objecting to the Lokayukta report, claiming that they've got fresh evidence, and they've reached the Karnataka High Court. But the High Court in Karnataka said that the ED needs to prove first whether their petition against Siddaramaiah and the Lokayukta report is maintainable before the case goes any further. ED lawyers came ready, arguing that they did share a lot more evidence to the Lokayukta, but it was ignored, and this clean chit was not right. Basically, it was wrong to give a clean chit because there was so much evidence that they had in hand. Now, it seems like the Karnataka High Court has given a go-ahead for the Enforcement Directorate to take forward this case. Remember, you also have at the same time Chief Minister's legal advisor and Congress MLA himself, A.S. Ponnanna, who did not mince words. He fired at the Enforcement Directorate for overstepping and basically saying that the Lokayukta had given a clean chit. The ED is trying to bulldoze the Lokayukta's verdict, basically overstepping their jurisdiction. And also said if the ED isn't probing Natesh, then why is it that they are targeting Parvati Siddaramaiah?
ಉಚ್ಚ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯದ ವಿಭಾಗೀಯ ಪೀಠ ನೀಡಿರುವಂಥ ಆದೇಶವನ್ನು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ವಿರೋಧ ಪಕ್ಷದವರು ಬಿಂಬಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಮತ್ತು ಮಾಧ್ಯಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಅದು ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ಕಾನೂನಾತ್ಮಕವಾದಂಥ ಒಂದು ಹೇಳಿಕೆಗಳಲ್ಲ. ನಟೇಶ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಬೂಡಾದ ಕಮಿಷನರ್ದು ಪ್ರಕರಣ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂಗೆ ಆತನಿಗೆ ನೀಡಿದಂಥ ಸಮನ್ಸು ಮತ್ತು ನಡೆದಂಥ ಸರ್ಚನ್ನು ಏನು ರದ್ದು ಮಾಡಿತ್ತು, ಅದರ ಮೇಲೆ ಇಡಿ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಿದಂಥ ಮೇಲ್ಮನವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಳ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿ ಉಚ್ಚ ನ್ಯಾಯಾಲಯ ನಾವು ಇದನ್ನು ತಡೆ ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಂಥದ್ದು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇ ದಿ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ಜಡ್ಜ್. ನಾವು ಯಾವ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಈ ಪ್ರಕರಣದ ಸಾಧಕ ಬಾಧಕಗಳನ್ನ ಅಂದರೆ ಮೆರಿಟ್ಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ಹೋಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಅಂದರೆ ನಟೇಶನ ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಡಿ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾಗೂ ಮುಂದುವರಿಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
For now, the court has pushed the case to 8th of April. The Lokayukta Special Public Prosecutor must answer, of course, questions here, whether they did consider the ED's findings that were provided to them or not. And on the contrary, does the ED have the legal standing here to challenge the Lokayukta's B report? We're going to track this story. Big setback to West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee and her government. The Supreme Court has struck down appointments of nearly 25,000 teachers who were recruited in government schools of the state. Massive setback indeed. The Supreme Court has scrapped the appointment of precisely 25,753 teachers and non-teaching staff in the state-run and government-aided schools of West Bengal, which upheld the Kolkata High Court's earlier verdict, saying the same. The top court minced no words, calling out large-scale manipulation in the recruitment process. With this order now, thousands will have to face job loss. But the court offered partial relief to those teachers. Those affected won't have to return their salaries that they've earned so far. The court has also asked the Bengal government to hold fresh recruitments within 3 months' time, allowing certain relaxations for those candidates who weren't involved in any irregularities. But this landmark judgment has left Bengal's politics on the edge. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has expressed open defiance, refusing to accept this ruling. Says she won't take this personally.
এইটাই তো আমরা বলছি যে একজন দোষীর জন্য তুমি সবাইকে কি করে এক জায়গায় যুক্ত করলে, এবং দুই হচ্ছে আগের চিফ জাস্টিস এটাকে স্টে করে দিয়েছিলেন সুপ্রিম কোর্টেরই। দ্য দেন চিফ জাস্টিস মিস্টার চন্দ্রচূড়জি স্টেট the High Court verdict. তো আর একজন সুপ্রিম কোর্টের সিজে কি তার কাছ থেকে আমরা এইটুকু মানবিকতা আশা করতে পারি না যে একটা সুযোগ দেওয়া, আত্মরক্ষার সুযোগ দেওয়া?
Now, Mamata Banerjee did show her intent to meet with the affected employees, those who were hired under the government scheme. But at the same time, took salvos at the BJP-led central government, saying that they are trying to weaponize the legal system to destabilize Bengal's education sector. Now, let me take you through briefly on the scam itself, the West Bengal teachers recruitment scam. There were allegations that OMR sheets were tampered, altering marks to benefit select candidates. Allegations on appointments of candidates who either failed or never even sat for the exams. And then there were allegations on names being added after merit lists were officially published, and allegations on appointment letters being issued even after the recruitment panel's term had expired, and claims that CCTV footage and key documents with regards to the recruitment process was missing mysteriously. And a long trail of political interference and favoritism is what the government has been accused of. This scam allegedly came to light after meritorious candidates who were left out raised a red flag. They claimed that they got more marks, but those who got lower marks were enrolled into the system. The High Court, followed by the CBI and the ED, discovered the depth of this alleged scam. Bengal elections, remember, is just a year away. This verdict could not have come at a worse time. Ruling Trinamool Congress faces a heat. BJP demands Mamata Banerjee's resignation.
आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट की जो राय आई है, जो verdict आई है, उसकी वजह से बंगाल में लगभग 26,000-25,500 से भी ज्यादा टीचर नॉन टीचिंग जो 2016 साल से नौकरी कर रहे थे, उनकी नौकरी चली गई। सारे परिवार रास्ते में आ गए। इसके लिए जिम्मेदार कौन है? जिम्मेदार ममता बनर्जी है, और ममता बनर्जी इसलिए जिम्मेदार है कि ममता बनर्जी ने अपने पार्टी के लोग जिन्होंने पैसा खाया था, पैसा खा के जो योग्य नहीं है उनको नौकरी दिया था, वो ममता बनर्जी उनको बचाने के लिए, अपनी पार्टी के नेता जो पैसा लिए थे उनको बचाने के लिए ममता बनर्जी ने जो योग्य थे, जिन्होंने परिश्रम करके पढ़ाई करके जिनको नौकरी मिली थी, उन सबको आग में झोंक दिया ममता बनर्जी ने। और इसके खिलाफ भारतीय जनता पार्टी रास्ते में उतरेगी। रामनवमी पार होते ही भारतीय जनता पार्टी पूरी तरीके से रास्ते पे उठेगी।
Shifting our focus to Prime Minister Modi, who received a grand welcome as he landed in Today, a quick look at the 6th BIMSTEC summit at Don Mueang Airport. Thailand's Deputy Prime Minister and senior officials welcomed Prime Minister Narendra Modi, while the Indian diaspora erupted in chants as soon as they saw the Prime Minister, as he gets this kind of reception almost every country he goes to. The Indian diaspora gathers to greet him. Performed Bhangra, adding to all that energy of this occasion. Prime Minister later attended a performance of Rama Kane, the Thai adaptation of the Ramayana.
तो थाईलैंड के रिश्तों को और मजबूत और प्रगाढ़ करने की दिशा में अहम साबित होने वाला है.
He is said to have met with some regional leaders discussing key areas of cooperation. Earlier today, he held delegation-level talks with the Thai Prime Minister, addressing a joint press conference. The Prime Minister has expressed condolences over the recent earthquake that also hit Thailand.
भारत और थाईलैंड के सदियों पुराने संबंध हमारे गहरे सांस्कृतिक और आध्यात्मिक सूत्रों से जुड़े हैं. बौद्ध धर्म के प्रसार ने हमारे जन जन को जोड़ा है. अयोध्या से नालंदा तक विद्वानों का आदान प्रदान हुआ है. रामायण की कथा थाई लोक जीवन में रची बसी है और संस्कृत पाली के प्रभाव आज भी भाषाओं और परंपराओं में झलकते हैं. मैं थाईलैंड सरकार का आभारी हूं कि मेरी यात्रा के उपलक्ष्य में 18वीं शताब्दी की रामायण म्यूरल पेंटिंग्स पर आधारित एक विशेष डाक टिकट जारी किया गया है. फ्रेंड, भारत की एक्ट ईस्ट पॉलिसी और हमारे इंडो पैसिफिक विजन में थाईलैंड का विशेष स्थान है. आज हमने अपने संबंधों को स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप का रूप देने का निर्णय लिया है.
All right, let me take you to Donald Trump, who's now doubling down on tariffs. The U.S. President vows a 10% baseline tax on all imports and steeper duties on key trading partners. Here's a look.
U.S. President Donald Trump escalated a global trade war with new tariffs Wednesday that threatened to stoke inflation and stall growth. After Trump unveiled the plan, it left world markets rattled and drew condemnation from world leaders. They include a 10% tariff on most goods imported to the United States and much higher levies on dozens of trading partners, including allies. Japan and the European Union were not spared, facing 24% and 20% tariff rates respectively. Tokyo's government spokesperson called the tariffs extremely regrettable, while Ursula von der Leyen said they were a major blow to the world economy.
Millions of citizens will face higher grocery bills, medication will cost more, as well as transportation. Inflation will go up, and this is hurting in particular the most vulnerable citizens.
She said that the EU was already finalizing the first package of countermeasures in response to tariffs on steel, and were preparing for more should negotiations with Washington fail. China was faced with a fresh 34% tariff on top of the 20% Trump previously imposed. The world's number 2 economy vowed its own retaliation despite a warning by U.S. Treasury Chief Scott Bessent that such moves would lead to escalation. Trump's top economist Stephen Miran said on Fox Business Wednesday the tariffs would work out well for the U.S. in the long run, even if they cause some initial disruption. However, outside economists have warned that tariffs could slow the global economy, raise the risk of recession, and increase living costs for the average American family by thousands of dollars. Even some fellow Republicans have expressed concern about Trump's aggressive trade policy. Hours after the announcement at the White House, the Senate voted 51-48 to approve legislation that would terminate Trump's Canadian tariffs, with several Republicans breaking with the president. Passage in the Republican-controlled U.S. House of Representatives, however, was seen as unlikely.
Now, responding to the United States imposing tariffs on India, Ministry of Commerce and Industry have said that they were carefully examining the implications of various measures taken by the United States. The ministry has said, keeping in view the vision of Viksit Bharat, the department is engaged with all stakeholders, including Indian industry and exporters, taking feedback of their assessment of tariffs and assessing the situation. It said that the department is also studying the opportunities that may arise due to this new development in the US trade policy. Remember, India is slapped with 26% tariff. Now, you have Donald Trump who said that Modi is a great friend, but did not mince any words by saying that India charges us nearly 52% tariff and therefore we've got to be reciprocatory. 26% is high, and we know that the biggest industries or the sectors that has affected Indian trade to the United States is particularly that of agriculture and of course consumer goods, especially seafood, meat. While India does nearly 18% of trade with the United States, India certainly receives a big blow. On that note, I'm slipping into a short break. Coming back on our top story on Deep Dive on bike taxis being banned in Karnataka. What's going to be the larger impact for those riders as well as people who rely heavily on bike taxis because they are cheap? What's the way out? Stay with us on the other side.
What does it take to be the greatest in the world? There is one thing which truly sets you apart. Your inner strength. Sojiri TMT Reebok. True inner strength.
In the age of OTT platforms, to watch or not to watch? That's the question. Because you are what you watch. It's our review, but your choice to skip it or stream it. Hello and welcome. I'm Krishna Kumar. This is Skip It, Stream It.
What is To the Nines? In literal terms, it's perfection. But to us, it's not just a phrase, it's an attitude. One that starts at your desk and sends a statement to the world. To the Nines is about taking charge. It's a way of life where every scene, every fold, is crafted with excellence. It's timeless elegance and uncompromising quality made for the corner office. It's the ideas that inspire redefining order and elevating the tabletop. To the Nines, for the leaders of today and the visionaries of tomorrow.
Welcome back. Let me take you through our top story here on Deep Dive. Karnataka government bans bike taxis. The High Court, in fact, has put the brakes on bike taxi services altogether. So operators like Ola, Uber, Rapido have been ordered to suspend all bike taxi rides across the state. The High Court says these services cannot function unless the government puts in clear regulations under the Motor Vehicles Act of 1988. They have 6 weeks to wrap up operations. The government argues that this clampdown is about passenger safety and legal compliance, but the ban has rattled thousands of gig workers and commuters who rely on these rides on a daily basis. This is more than just a court order. It's a direct hit on livelihood and mobility. For months now, bike taxis have been under scanner. But let me take you through the exact reasons to why the court has taken note here. Paying heed to the government of Karnataka, raising concerns. One is that these bikes run on a white board. So they're not commercial vehicles and this violates the Motor Vehicles Act. Two, the government raised concerns about women's safety, calling these services as unsafe for women, and also frequent altercations, they claim, between bike taxi riders and auto cab drivers, also spiraling into law and order problems, the reason to why they've decided to end bike taxis. And lastly, and most importantly, disrupting revenue collection for Transport Department. Because they are not dubbed as transport vehicles, the Transport Department isn't able to adequately collect their revenue. The ruling may have settled the legal debate here, but what about the human cost? We know that the number of bike taxi the riders there who relied heavily on this for their livelihood are dealt with a heavy blow, and also people who find this a fraction of a cost in compared to an auto and a cab or even metro for that matter for them. Is there a solution, a way out, and most importantly for the companies who are providing these services? Nagesh Aras, civic activist from Karnataka, Muralidhar Rao, activist from Karnataka, who joins us. So, Nagesh, if you could start off with what happens now to these riders who suddenly find themselves without work. I'm not too sure if you agree with this Karnataka ruling. Should we have bike taxis or not?
This is actually related to the last mile connectivity issue of the state, anywhere in the state actually. So, Karnataka state government has never bothered to even balance out the provide the last mile connectivity. And both BMTC and Metro, for example, in Bengaluru, they provide only the major route services, but not last mile connectivity. So it basically is up to the common man to find his last mile connectivity. And as you mentioned, actually, it was very affordable service, very reliable and very quick, and that has stopped. So apart from the hit to the riders, actually, it is the common man who is going to suffer more. Because this service is available at a fraction of a price of a auto or a cab. So this is a major disaster for them. And what will happen is if they get diverted to their own vehicle because these services are not available, they can't avail of the BMTC or metro services because remember this is a last mile connectivity issue. So what will happen is, the roads will get choked with private vehicles and it is a disaster all over.
So as we see here, the government does not have last mile connectivity. At least they have not managed to establish the most robust public transport system. So like Mr. Nagesh said, last mile connectivity really seems to be the problem here. Muralidhar Rao, why can't the government really look at regularizing bike taxis? Is there a way out to this? And we know that Rapido has been seeking legal intervention time and again, but the court says that we are in no position to tell the government what to do. Why do you think the government isn't doing this? Isn't this for the benefit of the people?
Actually, if you ask me, Nagesh talked about last mile connectivity. There have been many offers from regular private bus operators to provide the last mile connectivity. But always the government has come back. The transport department has come back with the what is it called? The argument that it is going to be affecting the revenue receipts of BMTC. Now, public transport, the main idea of public transport to provide a viable transport for the public, not for the revenue considerations of any government organization. They don't seem to appreciate that to begin with. Now, I had as far back as in '96 filed a PIL to do away with the monopoly of BMTC. All of the problems in Bangalore, the mobility and traffic issue problems in the city come out of the monopoly of BMTC. Their inability to provide adequate bus services of all kinds. Actually, quite recently, about 10 years back or something like that, another operation had come into this ZipGo that was supposed to provide aggregated bus services. Again, the government threw them out, saying the revenue considerations of BMTC. Now, this talk of revenue considerations of BMTC giving priority to that over the requirements of the public of providing good transport, mobility in the city is where all of the problems emanate from. This BMTC monopoly has to go. Now, in Karnataka itself, you have in Bangalore private bus service providers. And they are doing an excellent job. The only problem there again is, the government's license permit, Raj. They don't allow them to, they impose all kinds of restrictions on increase
A quick
in
word,
tariff.
Mr.
You don't buy
Nagesh. A bus will not really solve the problem that the bike can solve. You can order a bike and it comes there in 2 minutes and you're hopping on and hopping off. It's quicker, faster, cheaper. A BMTC, you'll have to wait for the bus to arrive at a bus stop. Then you head to a bus stop, look for where the nearest bus stop is, which bus is heading towards your direction. It's complicated.
No. If you bring in the private sector and have a proper regulator, this can be sorted out. There is no problem at all. Today, through IT services and things like that, you can.
Okay.
The BMTC buses don't have a tracking facility even today. Can you believe that?
Yeah. So what's the solution? What's the solution? If I can ask a final word on how should the government be looking into
private players? All that will be sorted out.
How should the government look into this issue? Could there be any relief for these aggregators, Nagesh?
First of all, the revenue related point. See, the BMTC talks about 200 crore worth of loss per annum. And the loss to the city's economy. Bengaluru city alone does a annual loss of 4,700 crore because of congestion. So it's very clear, which side we should go. But if we are talking about 200 crore and, losing 4,700 crores, where is any, logic in this?
Yeah. All right.
Compared to, there are which are already using, they don't require yellow, boards. Okay, namely Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, Haryana, and now Maharashtra is also coming out with the same thing. They don't require any yellow, boards.
Okay.
And Goa actually came out with this policy 44 years back. What prevented Karnataka to follow through? In 44 years, they have not done it.
Correct. All right. We've heard you loud and clear. Let's hope the government is listening to the grievances of the common man as well, because it's helpful, if anything.
In case, the subsidy that is given, for women, traveling in buses, that should be passed on directly to the consumers. And if the service provider is burdened, then there is a serious problem. You don't even have a proper measure.
Right.
All of this can be sorted out if you bring in competent private players with, of course, the proper regulation.
Muralidhar Rao and Mr. Nagesh, thank you very much, as I'm short on time, but really appreciate you joining us. Now we're taking you through a story very interesting that affects all of us, and we may have been victims to it or may have done it without knowing how it disturbs the person seated right next to. We've often seen, especially during COVID times, how people work on their laptops, talking on the phone at restaurants and coffee shops. While we're busy doing what we do, we don't really realize what the others are feeling, those who are seated right next to you. Are they disturbed or bothered at all? In Bengaluru, Sujata Yadav got a reality check when she was attending an office Zoom call at a cafe when a stranger walked up straight to her and dropped a napkin on her table. It was a handwritten note that said, "You can be heard all the way here." Basically to say that you're so loud, shut up, in as many words. She posted this on her X account saying, "Humbled." Now, Indians are known to be loud and there's almost no concept of personal space, but here this post itself sparked a heated debate on social media about etiquette in public spaces like cafes and how attending a Zoom call in such places can disrupt others who are simply trying to enjoy their coffee or conversation. Many arguing that while cafes offer a comfortable environment to work, turning them into personal offices and spaces expecting silence from everyone else is also unfair. Now, let me take our question here to our panelist who joins us to give us a little more into what etiquettes mean when you're at a public space. Discussing this with Dilip Cherian, who's an image guru, and Dr. Karanpreet Kaur. Sir Dilip, your take on how would you deal and respond to a person who's supremely loud at a space like a coffee shop or a restaurant where you're also enjoying your personal time? Can we expect silence? Is it rude to ask for some manners?
You know, I'm going to ask you to allow me to step off after making this comment because I'm so embarrassed. I'm sitting in what is arguably the most iconic restaurant in Bangalore called Koshi's, and I've requested for a quiet space. Luckily, the restaurant is empty, and I'm now